Hello.
I'm here.
Hello.
You now have a
Is
thing
this
on your
okay if
forehead.
I turn off my camera?
That's perfectly fine.
Okay.
Okay, so real quick before we get started, um, something I like to do before every game is we'll just go around the table here, just quickly introduce yourself and just give us a short synopsis of your rogue. So we'll start with you, Andre.
Okay. So Heron is this dude. he has he doesn't mind killing some people. He has killed the first person in a forbidden temple in a forgotten place, and can I have a reason for that already? Stuff
Sure,
like that.
sure.
Okay, so he killed this person because the other he and the other person found some secret knowledge there, uh, occult knowledge and everything, and he didn't think that person would be um, uh, he didn't think that it would be nice for that person to have such power in his hands, so he got rid of that person. And I guess that's it. I don't know. He has his favorite dagger. It's called Leech, and that's it.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, Maria.
Alright. Aldris is a rage sword who, to explain that, one must explain the concept of the Karath, which is the a demon that lives inside everyone's soul. And and as demons are, they are cruel and merciless. The rage swords have mastered the Skyroth, but they themselves have become cruel and merciless, hence why I am no longer jovial but cruel.
Nice.
Uh,
Nice.
we become rage swords to stop the darkness, which is the apocalypse, basically, the end of all things.
That's cool. Use cruelty to stop the apocalypse.
Pretty much.
All right. So, all right, Sid.
So Elaine is there's a lot of like hunting motif going on. So I'm thinking like that. She considers herself a hunter, and eventually she will consider herself the prey. So her three things that deserve a name are animals that are important to her. One is the beast that whose fur she's dressed in that she hunted long ago. She keeps like a small cat with her that tends to dip in and out of the shadows. Um, and she is fated to eventually be hunted by a demon beast called the Last King. And she's kind of determined to put that off as long as it can. But when it comes, she will know that that's like her circle of life.
Nice.
And so my trick is Inevitable Foe, which is eventually he'll come for me, and we'll see how that goes.
That's cool. All right, Will.
All right, Les is an older man whose life at this point is defined by regrets. In his past, he had his life is a roller coaster, like all individuals in the past. He rose to great heights of glory, and he is in a low at this point. His things that deserve a name are his blade that he lives by, his son that he lives for, and his sister who he runs from.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's
Excellent.
nice.
Yeah, that is good. Okay, so yeah, we'll go ahead and jump in the game here. Before we get started, of course, I want to mention that I do use a modified version of the X card. If anything comes up that you feel uncomfortable with, it doesn't matter what it is. You can send me a whisper. You can throw X up on the camera, and we'll erase that part from history. We won't dwell on it or anything. We'll just move along. No explanation needed. Everybody got that one?
Yes.
Yes.
How is that modified?
Well, it's modified because there's not actually a card on the table you could touch. I guess I could put
Oh,
an X
okay.
card on the table.
I
Um,
mean, I can find my copy of the X card that I made, but I don't think I have it in reach. So, so I'm sorry.
It's okay. All right. So the first thing I'll do is I'll roll for the overtone. So I need to find out what tone I'm speaking in to start the narration. So I will just roll 20 here. And as far as the dice in roll 20, the convention we use is the first dice that it shows is the glum die, and the second die it shows is the jovial die. Except for Maria, the second die will be cruelty. Okay, so I rolled a 1 and a 5, so we are jovial to start out. Okay, so rogues, you find yourself each imprisoned in a cage that holds one of you. On a plateau, holding 3 large swords that stretch up to the sky, and a man chanting over the fire, chanting loud as the fire grows brighter and brighter and brighter, and the smoke reaches to the sky. He speaks in a forgotten tongue, one that you do not truly understand. And in front of these cages in which you are chained to, you're chained to these cages, is a hooded figure, and the figure is chanting in rhythm while staring at you. And as they're staring at you, you feel the chant ripple through your body, like it vibrates your body. You're not exactly sure what's happening, but it's not good. So we are rolling into a rogues phase. So in this phase, we will pass the dice between us and we'll make demands of each other. We format our demands by saying, show us how blank. So I'm going to pick up the dice here, and I'm going to pass them to... Who should get the dice first? I'm going to pass them to Les over here. So Les, show
Yes.
us how you managed to distract the chanter in front of your cage so you can pick the lock. So the first thing you want to do is roll the dice.
Okay.
Right, so we roll the dice set the tone. and then we
Excellent.
go- Right. Okay.
So you are jovial as well. Let me move this one to the side. So show us how you distract the guard so you are able to pick the lock on your chain and cage.
All right. I'm gonna use one of my feats heroic immediately.
Oh,
which is
really?
probably not the smartest thing to do. But I'd like to use the silver tongue. I disarm my foes with charm and false promises in an attempt to convince this guy to actually let me out,
Oh, nice.
rather than to pick it. So he's
Les,
in
before you go through this, I forgot to mention that you can only use your feat heroic once a game. So, I mean, you
know.
can still do it. You can still do it.
I got it.
Gotcha.
And
I'm on board with that. I think this is just a great opportunity to use it. is
Oh,
all.
yes.
Okay,
And-
so go ahead.
sorry, so what does the feat heroic do in terms of gameplay?
You basically ignore the result on the dice and you just narrate using your feat heroic.
Right.
Oh, and you can only use one of them once, or either of, or like.
Yeah, you can only use either one, but you can only use it once per game.
All right.
So most people save it until they roll a tie or, something along those lines.
Mhm.
Oh, so because I rolled jovial, I could just do that without using my feet.
Exactly.
Oh, well, I'll just do that instead then, I guess.
Excellent.
Okay. So this figure is chanting, right?
Right.
And it's how close? 5 feet away?
Oh, he's directly in front of the cage. If you open the cage door, you'd hit him with it.
Okay. I think so. After a little bit, I get a sense of the rhythm of the chant, and I join in the chant, mimicking the words as best I can, and eventually, I'm louder and start to drown him out, and he gets close to me to try to get me to shut up, essentially, At which point I reach through the cage and grab hold of him and tell him that I can help in, like, let's see, what exactly does Les say? Listen. The others, they should be here, but me, I'm with you. I know this. I'm part of this. Let me out. And after, I'd say a few minutes of this, just cajoling, he eventually, for some reason, lets me out.
That's excellent. So now at this point, you would pass the dice to another rogue and make a demand of them. You can pass the dice to me and make a demand of the world or the NPCs or whatever, or you can end the phase.
All right, I will pass to, is it Aldray? Aldrice?
I'll try.
Aldrice? How do you escape your bonds? Or show me how you escape your bonds.
All right. I will roll the d6 for this. Let's see. Glum.
Mhm.
All right. So
Your
let
happy
me look.
result.
My yes, in this case, Glum is happy because it does not involve the murder of literally everyone here except the rogues.
Sweet.
I I think no, sorry, I'm trying to get into the. It's while the hooded figure is distracted by uh Les, they do not notice the dark figure uh, becoming more compact and more compact and and basically slide down into a dark shadow and slip away from the cage. Is
Excellent.
that acceptable?
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
So you get to pass the dice to make a demand of another rogue or the overplayer, or you can end the phase.
All right. Let's see. Elaine, show me how you essentially. Let me look at your character. How you. Or actually, no, I have a better idea. Hey, Ron, show me
Yeah.
how you use the uh, power of the place to
Ooh,
escape.
ooh, that's good. That's good.
Okay.
Hmm.
So I guess. Just a second, because my power is running low here. Okay. I guess I should roll the dice first, right?
That's correct.
Okay. So
Okay.
it's jovial, right?
Jovial.
Yeah. So, well, I don't know a very jovial way to use the power of the place. Maybe because I have some knowledge of this sort of sorcery, but not a lot of knowledge. So I start trying different stuff uh, to see how. I mean, I try to imitate some words that the guy is saying, and I see that. I don't know. I could I ask for some help here? I don't know. I'm not quite sure how to do this.
So basically, what was the question again, Maria?
How do you use your the power of the place. Show me how you use the power of the place to escape.
Okay. So that you would narrate that exactly, Andre, how you use the power of the place to escape.
Okay.
That's your narration.
Okay, so I start playing with using the words and the chanting. Maybe not as much as not as loudly as Les, who was trying to get his attention. I'm not trying to get his attention. I'm trying to get the attention of the powers that are there, and I'm tied or I'm inside the cage.
You're inside the cage and you're chained to the cage, but you still escape.
Okay. Okay. So, I think for I'm a little cautious about using magic because you said that it's not a high magic place or game.
Oh, but no, it doesn't
So-
matter. I mean, as far as the content's concerned, you can do whatever you think your character should do. I mean, don't let the setting restrictions hold you back.
And I apologize because I used magic immediately because I did not know how to do it
Oh,
glumly.
No,
other than
it's perfectly fine.
Okay, so what is where is the guy who was chanting?
There's multiple people chanting. There's one guy by the fire chanting, and then there's
Okay.
hooded figures in front of each of your cages chanting and staring at you.
Okay, so suddenly one of them changes places with me.
Wow. Okay. So while you were chanting, all of a sudden, just like that, you switch places.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you can end the phase here, or you can pass the dice again and make another demand.
Les sees this and smiles over at his companion.
So I'm gonna end the phase because I'm not sure what else to do. So,
Okay.
Okay.
No, that's fine. You can make a demand on another rogue, or you can end the phase, basically. But if you end the
Okay,
phase,
so I'm gonna make a demand to. Has everybody has had a demand already, right?
no,
Elaine
Elaine
has-
hasn't.
Elaine hasn't. Okay,
It's fine, guys. I didn't want to play anyway.
so Elaine.
Yes, sir.
I want to. I don't know. Just want you to tell us how you have escaped,
Sure.
or how you are using the situation in order to try to escape. Maybe you don't.
Maybe I don't. Let's find out. I don't think I do. What was the rules about when everything
Okay.
goes bad?
no, you escape. It's not a true stymie, but
Okay.
you'll narrate, and I'll give you a consequence, and you will come up with a moral for that.
Right, but I'm still going glum. Is that right?
Yes, you are glum.
Okay, I'm soups glum. Um. So, tangled under. Yeah. I think Elaine's thrashing around for a bit, and the chains are like cutting into her arms, and she can't pull free. And then she just kind of gives up, defeated, slumps her head down, and out of her shadow rolls this little cat that just like curls up in her lap, and she reaches her hand down to comfort the cat, and her hand's free. And the wrists still bleed where she was tied, and she stands up and walks through the walls of the cage, and just kind of looks a little bit lost around at the ritual that's going on around her, not quite understanding what just happened in the preceding 12 seconds.
Excellent. So, consequence of that. So I believe as you exited the cage,
Mm.
and that feeling of sorrow that's over you and defeat, it draws something from the center of this plateau, where this fire's at, and the smoke drifts. You know, it was going straight up, and it drifts directly over towards you, and
Yeah.
encircles you and chokes you, and you begin coughing, you know, loudly because you can't breathe. It's filling your lungs, and the smoke is just so heavy. Um,
Yep.
you know, it's just not regular fire smoke, and
Mm.
it's, you know, it's so heavy it's choking you. So you could come up with a moral for that. Um,
So what is a moral?
a moral is like saying don't throw rocks in glass houses,
Oh, okay,
or
so it's a legit moral. Okay.
yeah, it's a legit moral.
Right. Um, so what kind of moral should I come up with for that? What kind of formula am I looking for?
Question:
Go ahead.
does it have
Go
to
ahead.
to still match the tone of the of whatever was said?
No, tones don't, or I mean, I'm sorry, but morals don't have to have a tone. They're just a
Right.
moral.
And mysteries as well, correct?
Mysteries as well. And the same
Right.
thing with the motifs. Oh yeah, I forgot to remind you. You know, remember if anybody says anything you think's really cool, you go ahead and type it in the chat so we can add it to the motifs, because that's the pacing of the game. Um,
Yeah.
you know, as soon as we get the
Oh,
motifs
that's
filled
really
up, we move into the end game. So it could be anything any of the players said. It could be anything I said. I could type them in as well. Um, but I was getting too into listening to your stories about escaping these cages. Um,
Well, I was gonna say I really liked the smoke motif that you had there. Is that
yeah, that's fine.
something that we can pursue there?
Yeah, that's fine.
Because like the heavy smoke and that. Anyway, so as the moral, I was thinking like referring to something about consequences, like they who light fires breathe the smoke or something like that. Like you kind of reap what you sow.
Okay. Yeah, we go with that. Um, don't breathe the smoke of others' fires.
Ooh, even better. I like that. I will put that in. Um,
So, Will, that's the thread. The smoke stands in judgment.
It could be.
No, we go with that.
Those are the motifs, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So I'll add this one in.
And it's also the moral, I guess.
Right. Okay. So we got our first thread. Excellent. So, Sid, do you want to end the phase? Do you want to make another demand?
I do want another demand, if I may. I want to make a demand of you, of the world,
Okay.
and say, show me how the ritual concludes.
All right. So I don't need to roll because my original overtone was jovial, and I stay in that overtone. Um. So let's see. Let me get the names right here. So as I see it, all four are out of the cages, right? Everybody's out of the cage.
Yeah.
Okay. So as you're out of the cage and Elaine is choking and coughing loudly on the smoke, which is directed right at her. I mean, it's like a laser, you know, coming from the fire directly at her. Um, the man chanting by the fire uh, smiles this huge smile, and the flames rise up as the smoke dies out. The flames rise up into the air, and it's blinding. I mean, it's almost as bright as the sun. This flame, and he's chanting and chanting and chanting, and as the blinding light goes away, you notice that all the hooded figures are gone. They're not there anymore. But you hear a grumbling and a growling, and coming up the side of the plateau, right next to Elaine, is a massive, fleshy beast. It almost looks like a mountain lion, but way too large to be a mountain lion. And it also looks like it's injured, but it's not moving like it's injured because you can see its rib cage at its side. And it's climbing up the plateau, and it's coming right for Elaine. and I'm going to end the phase here. So if anybody wants to play a trick, they can. If not, I'm going to move into a perilous phase.
Okay, I want to use my trick.
Okay, what's your trick?
Yeah, I can use it only once in the session, the trick.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to use my trick. You said it's a fleshy beast.
Right. It's a fleshy beast. When I say fleshy, I mean like it's got bits of flesh hanging off of it. Like obviously this thing was once living, but it's not living, but it's still coming up the side of the plateau.
Okay, so if with my trick I can make this a discovery phase, or what exactly does that mean? I can learn something about this creature.
Right. So if we move to a discovery phase at this point, it's basically all about the setting and discovery. Yeah, you can tell us something about this beast if you want to in this discovery phase. You want to do a discovery phase?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll move to a discovery phase. My overtone is still jovial. And by the way, my overtone won't flip unless one of you rolls a tie, by the way. So I'll stay jovial until one of you rolls a tie.
What was the phase we were just in? Sorry.
I'm sorry.
What was the phase that we were just doing?
We were just in a rogues phase, and now we are going to do a discovery phase. And in this phase, it follows the same procedure. I'll pass the dice, and then you will say something you know about the world, and then you will ask me a loaded question about it. Does that make sense? So-
What exactly would be a loaded question?
A loaded question is something that can't be simply answered yes or no. So, like, you wouldn't ask me, is this creature undead? Or is this creature
Okay.
magical? You would ask me, why is this creature magical? Or why is this creature
Okay,
undead? Something
great.
like that.
Great.
Okay? So we'll go to the discovery phase, and since you played the trick, Aaron, you will get the dice first, and you will go ahead and roll and show us how your uncanny cognition reveals something about the world.
Okay, it's gloom. Glum. Sorry.
Glum?
Uh,
Yeah, Glum.
Yeah.
Also, I
So
put a thread up.
Okay,
what?
Just letting you know.
got it.
Don't worry about it.
You keep going, Aaron.
Okay, so I think I I can make up whatever I want about this creature.
Yes, absolutely. You got total narrative authority about it. There's something you know about it. You can tell us.
Okay, so this creature, I recognize this creature, and I know my fellows also recognize it because it's something everyone has seen in their deepest, most disturbing nightmares, and it's I'm not quite sure what is exactly this thing is, uh, but I know it's a sort of a very distorted image of human life, and it's not necessarily here to harm us.
Awesome. That's that's pretty cool, actually. Um, so what you'll do is you'll ask a loaded question of me about the beast.
Okay. Uh, so I want to know uh, how or why doesn't this creature attacks us right away?
Why doesn't the creature attack us right away or attack you right away? So the creature doesn't attack right away because this is a sacred feeding ground, and Elaine has already been marked as its meal. And because it is sacred, it will not begin to feast unless the rest of you are gone or dead. So, Aaron, you don't actually pass the dice back to me. You'll pass it to another player. and they get to make a discovery as well.
But I don't demand anything from them,
No,
right?
you don't demand anything from them. You just pass the dice to them, or you could end the phase.
Okay. No, I'm going to give the dice to Audrey's.
All right. So I I think I see this because I sense that
You want to
this
roll first?
creature-
Roll first, Maria.
Oh, sorry, I forgot.
No, it's okay.
And I will roll. Cruel. All right,
It's gonna be fun.
all right. It is not going to attack soon. I mean, it's not going to attack now, but it's going to attack soon. I know this because this creature is a Karoth, and Karoths are very dangerous beasts, even if they are unbound from a soul. And I know that Elaine will be mauled to death before being consumed very brutally. So I turn around and I want to ask the overplayer, how do I save Elaine from this beast?
In order to save Elaine, oh, I put this. It'll fit your character. You will have to show it that you are more cruel than any beast it's ever faced in its life.
All right. So I'm guessing asserting dominance.
Yeah, dominance, brutality, and cruelty. however you want to use it.
Mm.
And I'll give the dice to Les. Go ahead and do something with that.
Uh, let's see. So everyone, all the humans or figures are off this plateau except for us at this point.
Yep.
Is that right?
Yep.
And also, am I able to relay this information, or is it something that only I know?
It's something that you know, but it's fine if it seeps
I-
around the table. It's not a big deal.
So
Alright.
I know that a Kareth only becomes unbounded if the creature dies in extreme suffering. So I'll ask the overplayer, what happened to unbind this particular Kareth?
That's good.
Oh, did you roll?
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah, you had to
I'm
roll
sorry.
first.
I'm a cheater. That was Glum, right?
Sure, it's pretty glum. So this Kareth was unbound, because it was discarded by its own family and left to die because it was weak.
So you have to prove to be crueler than that.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
Do the answers also have, like, this is for the overplayer, but do the answers also have to match the overtone?
In essence, not really. Because I'm not really narrating. I'm just answering a question.
Okay.
They don't really fit in the overtone. It's more the narration.
Okay.
So if I say I want to change phases, do I decide on the phase, or is that your choice?
No, I choose the phase, but you can end a
Okay.
phase. You can end the discovery phase or the rogues phase at any point after somebody's rolled.
I will pass it to Elaine, just so that we each get a chance in the discovery phase.
Oh god. I gotta roll. I gotta get some tone going. So it's cool when my character dies.
All right, Elaine. Guess what you did? You rolled another moral.
I'm jovial, but I'm moralist. So is it my question to you or my discovery that needs to be jovial?
Your discovery is jovial. Your narration.
It's jovial.
Yeah.
Okay. So for you guys, that this story is, I was hunting something, a beast long ago, and like a family of them, and the one that was, they left one behind because it was the weakest. This like large mountain lion thing, they left it behind as the older one, as the weakest, so that I would take that, stop chasing the family, or stop chasing the pride.
Oh, wow.
And that's where this has all come from. And it's been hunting me for a while. And the jovial part is that I know that it doesn't want to eat me, and I'm a little bit weak at the moment. What it wants is to hunt, and so it's not going to attack me until I start running.
Oh, that's awesome. So
And that's
it's
going to be some fun.
yeah. So it's got so it's trying to prove its worth again, huh?
Well, yeah, that's right. It's I hunted it. It needs to hunt me. It's got to be a, I gave it the respect of a fair fight.
Cool.
Pass me the same back. And now I need a moral.
Well, first you could ask me a question about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
The question is, I think the question is, why did it show itself to me instead of just taking me from the shadows?
I believe I kind of answered that question at the end of your narration. It wants to prove itself. You took it down, and it's wanting redemption. So it doesn't want to take you like a weakling. It wants a fight.
All right, this is gonna be great.
So I'm gonna go ahead and end the phase here. I forgot that the
Cool.
players can't end a discovery phase; only the overplayer can. So I'm gonna end the phase here after this discovery. If you need help with that moral, Sid, we can help you out.
So
Yeah,
I'm looking at this.
Please do.
I'm looking at the thread, and I'm a bit confused. Like,
Hmm.
is the thread something vaguely related to what was said, or is it
I'm sorry.
something cool that happened?
Which one?
So, the last one.
The demon unbound by cruelty and driven by vengeance.
Yeah, like threads. Do they have to be something that I said, or because I'm a bit confused about how to make threads.
Well, yeah, it could be something that's said. But especially with the discovery phase, everybody builds upon previous narrations, so it's kind of what ended up in Sid's narration. Is that right there? A demon
Alright.
unbound by cruelty and driven by vengeance.
All right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So as we move into the second motif, the only difference on adding threads is at least one of the threads of the second motif needs to echo something from the first thread. Does that make sense?
Oh, cool.
Elaborate, please.
Yeah.
Okay, so like when I say echo, at least something's got to have some kind of relative standing with something from the first motif. So you can say somebody says something about smoke and you think that's pretty cool and should belong in a thread. You can add that in there because it echoes that first thread from the first motif. Or it could be something about a beast or something about cruelty. It doesn't have to be exact, but that's pretty close to something from the first thing.
All right. So, and to what? Are we threading too fast or too slow? I'm not sure because.
Oh no, we're good. We're good. Thing about Swords Without Masters is the games, especially with experienced players, go hyper fast. I mean, you'll finish a game in like an hour.
Right.
Because they're just constantly throwing up threads. No, this pace is great. Yeah, we're doing just fine.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay, so now we are going to move into a Peros. Go ahead.
Can I interrupt? I don't think I understood correctly the thread and motif thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm mistaking one for the other.
Oh no, it's okay. A motif is just a collection of 3 threads. That's all it is.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
and the second motif, one of the threads has to echo an idea or something from the first motif.
Oh, okay, great.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna, just because it's the right time for it. It's probably not necessary, but I'm gonna do it anyway. I'm gonna invoke my trick of inevitable foe, which is I demand a perilous phase, and my hand thing, the last king, is the storm.
Okay. I have to ask you: is this beast the last king?
Yep, it's got to be.
Excellent. Okay, so we'll move into a perilous phase. So, as this beast crests the edge of the plateau, and the flesh and blood still dripping off its side, it's obviously been scavenged upon as it laid there until it became unbound. It gets a scent of that smoke and bares its teeth, massive teeth, at Elaine. And that's the thunder, is just that snarl, the saliva dripping from its jaws, and it's got focus on Elaine. And I'm gonna pass the dice to Les, or not Les, but to Elaine, since this is her phase beginning. So in the perilous phase, here's how it works. I will continue to bring the danger. I will continue to make it crappy for your rogues. You cannot overcome any danger or anything that's happening unless you roll the dice. But until you roll the dice, you can narrate how you please how you are struggling against the storm. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So everybody else will, while you're holding the dice, Elaine, everybody else can only slip and struggle. They cannot overcome it.
Right.
Whenever the danger gets up to a point where you can't take it anymore, you roll the dice and then you narrate. Okay?
If I have the dice,
Okay,
to
so-
what extent can I involve the other rogues?
If you have the dice, you are involving the other rogues just by holding on to them. Because the danger will just get worse and worse and worse until the dice are rolled.
I guess what I mean is, if I am describing myself struggling,
Okay, so
can I also describe actions of other rogues, or I guess what are my narrative constraints when it comes to the other PC's agencies?
Okay,
Or,
so
sorry,
yeah, your narrative constraints are to your rogue only. What I'm
Okay.
saying is, you can't put them in a bad spot. That'd be my job. Um, you can describe what your rogue is doing if you don't have the dice. If you do have the dice, you can use another rogue, but you need to ask for permission.
Got it.
Okay. So this thing is snarling its teeth at Elaine, and it's prowling and it's moving around in kind of a semicircle, keeping its head towards Elaine. But as it's moving, this beast is so big that if you're near it while it takes a step, it will crush you. And one of those feet. Sorry, were you saying something?
No, I was just marveling.
Oh, okay.
That's
So
awesome.
so one of these feet is coming right towards you, Aaron, and it's coming down to crush you. Um, and you can narrate how you're slipping and struggling.
All right. So I turn to whoever's next to me, whoever would be standing closest to me, I guess. Aldras probably standing closest to me, and I say, no one that's ever run from this beast would live, but no one that stands still lives either. And I go to run away, and in the I just lost my video. In the with the tectonic shake that happens every time this beast puts its feet down, the rocks on this mountaintop have come loose, and my feet slip out from underneath as I try and scramble to run.
Oh yes, and as you fall, it seems to click something in the beast, and like it begins to prowl, and then as you fall, it darts quickly towards you. Its jaws opening and coming down above you. It blots out the light of the sky as these jaws are coming down to crush you.
So is this a good time to throw dice, or should we
Sure.
let someone else fill in its
Sure. I
roll
mean,
first?
if anybody else wants to narrate what they're doing, they can't actually do anything about this thing eating you until you roll the dice.
Yeah, I'd like to take a chance with Les. So Les is going to make an attempt to save Heron. Moves towards it, tries to distract this creature, but it just bats him aside casually, and he is slammed up against one of the giant swords
Exactly.
and falls down onto the ground underneath it, a little bit more broken than he began.
Nice.
So my narration is also jovial because of the overtone.
Yeah, the overtone's jovial, so everybody's narration will be jovial until you roll the dice.
All right. So I will give chase in my shadowy form, but I am just too slow. Always too slow. My I am not quick enough to catch up to this beast and attempt whatever I'm about to attempt to it.
Nice. So, Aaron, what are you doing?
I think I'm trying to listen to the shadows to know what they tell me to do to help. But the what the shadows are saying is a complete noise. I can make no sense of what the shadows are saying. They are completely crazy right now. So I'm a little confused, and I look around, and I'm not sure what to do.
That's great. Even the voices are panicking.
Yeah.
So yeah, this beast is slung one into the sword, and it's outrunning the other one, and it's driving the voices crazy, and it's coming down on you, Elaine. You feel the teeth just about to sink
Yep.
into you.
Yep. And
Yeah.
let's see how these dice go.
Excellent. You are jovial.
I'm jovial. I'm vibrant, passionate, or cacophonous.
So what does that mean?
So-
Does that mean that
That means he can overcome it. I mean, if he wanted to, he could kill the beast right away, or he could just narrate him getting out of the situation. It's up to him.
all right, and what happens after that?
He can pass the dice. He can pass the dice to one of you.
And
And
when's
I'll-
the phase?
This is the perilous phase.
But who can end the phase? Just
Any-
the overplayer?
Any of you can end the phase by passing the dice back to the overplayer.
Ah.
So if you pass it to another person, basically you're putting a bullseye on them. And I will be going after that player.
That makes sense.
Nice.
I love that.
Elaine's able to get her feet underneath her and slide away. She just feels one of the teeth sink into her leg, but with the size of the jaws of this thing, that tooth takes the whole foot with it, and so she jumps up and putting all her effort in, takes one big step, realizes that the foot is gone on the right side, tumbles to the ground, pulls herself up again, and just hobbles and bolts clear across this mountainside. And then when she hits off the plateau, she kicks in and slides down the loose gravel through the other side. Now, Heron was standing silently and listening to the voices, and I think that's put him in a dangerous position, and I'm going to have to pass the dice on to him.
Excellent.
Which
So, okay. Let me go ahead and copy this thread over. So Aaron,
Yeah.
As Elaine goes tumbling over the side and sliding down the side of this plateau, the beast, you hear the voices, they're all jumbled and screaming and scrambling in your mind, and it's almost like they are calling this beast towards you. It's almost like the beast can hear him as well. And one particular voice screams out loud, and the beast just stops in its tracks and turns its head directly towards you. And you see it hunker down, and you see its hind legs coil as it just darts directly across the plateau at you.
Okay. Do I roll? I don't know what
It's up to you. You can roll, or you can wait till the danger gets worse. If you feel like this is danger, not danger, and whatever.
No, I think this is danger enough. I'm going to roll.
Okay,
So it's glum.
it's glum.
So I think since I know the creature is listening to the shadows as well. I know we have something in common, and it uh, do I know about all that stuff of this creature being killed because it was weak and everything?
Yeah. I mean, that could have been yelled out at any point, or the voices could have told you. Sure.
Okay, so I know it wants to kill something that is worthy of killing. Maybe I'm gonna. I'm going to let through. I'm going to try to talk to this creature, maybe.
Well, see, you've
Through
already
the
rolled the dice, so you don't have to try. You just say it.
what?
You've already rolled the
Okay.
dice. You just say it. You don't have to try. I mean, the outcome's
Okay.
up to you.
Okay, so the shadows are talking to me, and I see that the creature is listening to them as well. So I start talking, but when I talk, it's not my voice that comes out of my mouth. It's it's a very strange, the most strange voice that everybody thinks or feels that they have heard this voice before, but nobody can say exactly when or how.
That's so
And
cool.
and when I talk to this creature, I am I don't look too threatening, and I tell her I tell this creature. Well, I don't know. Nobody knows what I'm telling this creature, but this creature seems to be to stop in the middle of the way. And it's looking at me, and it, it it's thinking. I maybe I don't know. It's trying to talk to me back. Uh, but can I pass the dice now?
Sure, you could pass it to another player, or you could pass it to me to end the phase.
So I'm going to. Elaine is down the cliff, right?
Elaine's down the cliff. I believe
And
Les is
Yeah,
up against
I
a
am.
sword, and
Les is what?
he got thrown into a sword and he's on the ground. He's hurting.
He did a hit.
Okay.
And Aldrace
So,
is
but
chasing.
is Audrey?
Aldrace is chasing the beast still. Once it stopped in its tracks, I just suddenly stop. Like, what's going on here? That's my struggle. Like trying to understand what is going on.
Okay.
Is the overtone still jovial? Or is
Yeah,
it
the overtone's still
alright?
jovial. I'll just move the glum up so that
Alright,
Andre could see the other ones.
right. So I am spellbound at that point, with confusion.
Awesome. So you're passing the dice to Aldris?
Yeah. Do I make a demand? No.
No, there's no demand. This is a perilous phase. Basically, when you pass the dice in the perilous phase, I'm just bringing the danger, and keep
Okay. So
bringing the
so
danger.
I'm going to. No, I'm going to end the phase now.
Oh,
Then.
excellent. Nice.
Yeah.
I think we have the third thread of the second motif with the same being similar to the second one. Are we merging those two together, or are we keeping them separate?
I don't know, Sid. What was that? The voice we heard before?
Oh, sorry. He said one of the things I really liked about it was he said, so he's talking to a voice that's not his own. It's a voice that everyone's heard before but can't place where. But
Gotcha.
you hear it in
I was
voice of
thinking
your
that it
own,
was
like it's sentient.
like maybe from
Sorry.
nightmares, like childhood nightmares is where
Yeah.
Okay,
I
That's
was
that's
like
thinking
the-
of writing a thread like nightmares gave voice or something like that. But
right. But that's kind of taking
Oh,
the
that's probably
narration.
taking too much of a liberty, yeah.
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 But how is that talking in a voice that you've not heard or that's not your own but
Yeah,
have
the
heard
voice-
before?
That's good.
Yeah, I like the kind of the voice that's not your own. I think kind of gives name to it. I thought it was fine.
Okay.
Wrote that and then fell in love with it anyway. So
That's fine. Okay, so we will move on to. Let's move on to a rogues phase. So,
my just query that the 3 phases we've done will be close in chronology is normal for the game, and is that kind of the only way to do it, or can you between phases jump distinctly in chronology?
oh yeah, you could jump in chronology, and in fact, I'm about to do it right here. You could jump way ahead. I've seen perilous phases end almost immediately after they start, so the overplayer has to come up with what exactly the aftermath of that was. You know, what exactly happened. But yeah, so we'll begin this phase with you on the road down at the bottom of this plateau. Um, uh, Elaine, you've bandaged yourself or somebody's bandaged you. And surprisingly or not, the beast is following you, but not as an enemy, but almost as a friend. Um, and the beast is trying to beckon you over to the hills away from the road. And it's like it wants you to follow it. It moves towards you, and then it kind of looks off to the hills, and then as you move away, it moves towards you again, and it's looking off towards the hills. It wants you to follow it. So I'm gonna give the dice to Aldrace. Aldrace, show us why you should go with this beast and not stay on this road.
Wait, show us. I couldn't hear the show us
Uh,
why or.
Yeah, show us why you believe that all 4 of you should go with this beast into the hills instead of staying on the safe road.
Alright.
Oh no.
Ooh, it becomes cruel.
No, it's
The
yeah.
general tone.
Yeah, the overtone becomes cruel. So I need to be cruel now.
Oh, that's
And
wow, that's brutal.
hold on.
And
let
also
me-
a mystery.
It's also a mystery, but I'll explain here in a second. Let me type this in so I don't forget. So I asked to show us why you believed following the beast into the hills was safer than following the road, but since it's a tie and a stymie, it actually flips that question in the rogues phase. So show us why you don't believe traveling into the hills is safer, even though it is. Basically, that's the mystery. For some reason, you want to stay on the road where it's more dangerous.
And do I have to be cruel about it?
No, you're not.
Or-
Well, yeah, you are cruel. So you have to be cruel about staying on the road. And the mystery is going to be, whatever comes out of your narration. So you go ahead and narrate.
So here's a question: do I believe that the road is safe? That the beast is correct, or rather that do I believe that the road is more dangerous, or
No, you know that the road is dangerous now, but you're going to want to stay on it anyways, instead of going
Okay.
the safe route into the hills with the beast. So you're going to show us how you do that, how you manage to keep everybody going on the road.
Oh, um, Will asked about the thunder, like about his trick.
Yeah, I was wondering if it was too late to use it.
No,
Because
no,
some
no,
people
no,
were-
because I never really gave a thunder. I mean, the beast kind of nodding to the hills was kind of the thunder, but that's fine. We can use the what was it? The
What?
woman laughing.
Yeah, because I got the sense that what the beast nodding to the hills wasn't the thunder anymore. The thunder was actually on the road
Okay, no, that's fine. That's perfect, actually.
from the way that Maria's. So
Woman's
Oh
fine.
yeah, we could go with that. So
Hmm.
down the road in the distance is getting dark. The sun's going down, and out of that darkness, you might hear laughter.
I say it is this, even though the beast knows that it is safer. It is safer in the hills, but we cannot run away now. The darkness is coming and it will destroy all life.
Oh, that's cool.
And if we do not do anything about it, even though the path will be merciless, we will all lose.
Okay. Now, since you rolled a mystery, Maria,
Right?
you're gonna have to think of a way. What you got to come up with a question because whatever made you change your mind was occult or supernatural in nature.
Hmm.
So you want to come up with a question about that, and that'll be the mystery.
So I was thinking that the Rage Sword's mission was already to stop the darkness. But why why is it so why is it such a desperate cause? Like why is the darkness such a close threat?
Okay.
Does that work?
Yeah, that's fine if you type that into the chat, or we could add to mysteries,
All right.
or
All
you
right.
could add it as
So
text in there if you know how to mess with roll 20.
why uh, right.
Okay.
And I'm guessing the darkness would be supernatural at this point since it is a mystery.
Sure. Okay, so Maria, you will pass the dice to somebody else,
Right.
unless anybody wants to end the phase and make a demand.
So, Les, you're cowardly, right?
no,
Show me how you completely ignore my attempt at not at trying to get everyone to fight the darkness.
so you're trying to get us to stay on the road to fight whatever is coming down from where the laughter is coming
Yes.
from. All right. So as soon as the laughter starts.
Roll.
Oh yes, I'm sorry. I always forget to do that in this game.
So what was the question?
Show us how you completely ignore my demands.
Oh, okay. So basically, with the narration that Maria did, everybody's on board until now. Now Les is not on board.
Okay, so this is Glum. Les, as soon as the laughter starts, he freezes and he looks to Heron, and he says, I know that voice. That's her. We have to go. We have to go right now." And he doesn't wait for anyone to listen. He just starts heading off towards the where the beast is indicating, but he gets really close to the beast, almost as if he is hoping that the beast will now protect him from whatever this new threat is.
Nice. So you can pass the dice and make another demand, or
I'm gonna pass it to Heron and say, uh, "What makes
What?
you?" Let me think about this.
while you're thinking, can I ask one thing? Are
Sure.
we trying to answer this question? Why is the darkness such a big threat?
Not yet. No. I'll explain all that when we finish this third motif.
Oh,
Okay.
and is there anything special about this third motif? Like
No, it's the same as the second one, but you can echo either the first or second motif.
Okay.
Heron, tell me what from our past makes you believe less.
Okay, so when you're in the rogues phase, you want to frame your question as "show us how blank."
Oh, it's always show us how.
Yeah.
All right. I guess show us how you respond to Les's claims.
Mm, what exactly did Les say?
He claimed that whatever the laughter was her. It's her. We need to go. And then he moved towards the beast as if he thought that it was safer with the beast.
Okay, but I'm am I supposed to I don't know if I should go with him or not. I don't.
Well, what was
That's
the
up to
question?
you. The question is, show me how you respond to Les's
Okay.
outlandish claims.
And you roll.
Okay. Well, I guess.
You know, roll first,
I,
Andre.
oh, okay. Can I? The beast is still with us, right?
Yeah.
Fleshy beast. So can I involve the beast in my narration?
Sure.
Okay, so I think the beast is going along with Les, and I simply follow. I don't say anything. I'm just following the beast. Maybe I turn to the others and I say, well, if you know what's best, you should come with us, because mm, the darkness is and that's just it. Yeah, I think it's good enough. Okay.
Okay. So you
Who do
can
you pass? Yeah.
go ahead, Maria.
Who do you pass the dice to, basically?
Yeah, you can pass the dice to
Yeah.
another player and make a demand, or to the other player and make a demand of the world.
Um, the demand to the world should be something like show me whatever.
Sure. Or show us how blank.
Okay.
Show us how the beast responds. Show us how the world responds.
So show us how the world and especially the beast responds to everything.
So, God, I got to do this in a cruel overtone too. So, like, the beast, is wanting to go away from the darkness at the end of the road. The beast doesn't want to go down there. The beast is wanting to go to the hills, and the beast seems to have this connection with Aaron. Whatever was said on that plateau definitely got the beast's attention, and Aaron and Les seem to be content with going where the beast leads, but Elaine and Andreas are still on the road. Elaine mainly because she's missing a foot, and uh, Aldreas because Aldreas for some reason wants to go down the road into the darkness. And what the beast does is actually grab Elaine and just tosses her towards like the hill area. Like just grabs her and just tosses her towards the hill area and takes a few steps walking towards the hill and turns back and is like, what is everybody waiting on? You know? And that was pretty hurtful to Elaine. I don't know, that was hard for me to do on a cruel overtone.
That's pretty cruel.
So
Well,
Oh, you
I'm
guys are
missing
real
food.
good at this.
so I'm gonna actually give the dice. I'm gonna make another demand of Aldreas, and I'm gonna say show us how you bring the darkness closer, since your party is not going to go towards the darkness.
Yes. Yes.
All right, let us roll to see how that happens. And that is Glum.
Um,
And that is I I stand still. I do nothing. It just comes closer by the noises, the laughter of the woman just comes closer and closer, and it becomes loud enough so that it envelops everything and it becomes dark. And I'm going to end the phase right there.
oh,
Oh, so good.
so you brought the darkness just by standing still. It was coming towards you the whole time. Okay, so. Okay. In fact, I'm going to go into another rogues phase. I'm just going to go from a rogues phase into a rogues phase. But now, the darkness is enveloping you, and the beast, in essence, is hightailing it out of there. Um, going as
Coward.
fast, going as fast as its mangled body can take it. It got tired of waiting on you, so
I thought this wanted vengeance. I say out loud.
that all changed with the speaking of the voices, I believe. um, but this darkness is enveloping the sky, and this laughter is getting louder and louder and louder, and it's getting so loud that it's actually it's scaring you to a point where you're almost frozen. Like you can't move because you are so terrified at this laughter. And I'm gonna give the dice to Elaine. He's missing a foot. She needs the dice. um.
Fuck with dice.
So the laughter is the thunder, of course. It's still the thunder from the last phase. And Elaine, show us how you call the beast back to defend you from the laughter.
Um, oh wait, I need tone. Oh, this game is so good because it's helpful.
know.
Because you think I don't know how to do this, and then it tells you how to do it by giving you tone.
Yes. I love this
You
game,
know
and
what?
it's only my first time playing.
Oh,
And
Elaine,
I'm so sorry that keeps happening to you.
the queen of
Can I
morals.
can invoke one of my feats heroic
Ab-
to like
abs-
ignore that. Right?
Absolutely.
Okay, let's do
So
that.
it also ignores morals, right?
It ignores the dice altogether, yeah. So like he
okay.
never rolled.
Um, so I'm gonna use my Glum feat heroic, which is succumbing to the shadow and melting away, leaving something behind. So Elaine has been tossed far away from the rest of the group, and she lands still a fair way before the foot of these mountains, a little bit unsure of what to do with herself, and that's quite a new feeling for her to be unsure of what to do with herself. And she looks up at the mountains in front of her that look terrible and foreboding, and she looks back at the beast following her, and even though it's walking calmly, she can feel its like oppressive steps chasing her again, as it has for years. And she just sits down and starts to cry. And as she does, and as like tears start to fall, she starts to melt away into the darkness that washes over her and starts to like fall into the shadows. And as the beast arrives, he sees that she's not the hunter that he's been pursuing anymore. She's not like this prey that he should be after. She is the weak one, just like he was, and that's what makes him want to protect her. And so something is left behind, and the beast is keen to protect it, but I'm not quite sure it's Elaine.
That is so good. that was great. So
Thank you.
Yeah, you can
Um,
you can pass the dice and make a demand.
I want to pass the dice to Les because I want to see some of your emotional side. And I want to say, show me how you comfort the crying girl you come across.
Which is Elaine.
Which is Elaine, yeah.
Okay. Um, so Les has been keeping up with the beast as best he can, but he stops short when Elaine sits down.
Don't forget your tone, mate.
Oh yeah, every time. That's
Every time? I do
100%
the
of the
same thing.
time.
Jovially.
Okay, good. That's what I was hoping,
Beautiful.
or what I was going to do anyway, I guess. So Les has been following along with the beast, keeping pace with it, not really paying attention to anything, not paying attention to the fact that it's been tossing Elaine, you know, a, 30 feet forward, running, catching up to her, tossing her again, is how I've seen it. At some
Yeah.
point, Elaine just, if only to make this stop, has sat down and is crying. And this seems to break Les out of his paralyzing fear at this point. And I think it's because at this moment, you, Elaine, remind Les of his sister before she became so cruel. And he stops and he sits next to her. And he's confused at this point. And he says, Olena, what's wrong, Olena? And he sits with you, and he starts to cry as well.
Aw.
But yours is
And-
jovial crying.
Oh shit! Let me see if I can. I'm terrible at following these things. Passionate.
Just
I'm
cry
gonna
loud.
say that that's jovial because it's passionate.
I like
Okay.
it. It's cathartic. Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like, yeah. And just so it was clear, Olena is the name of his sister, which just by chance is very similar
Yeah.
to Elaine. So
I like it a lot.
And demands or pass the dice
Oh, yeah.
around?
I
Do with this
yeah,
one.
I'm gonna pass it to Al Aldrace.
Aldrace. At this point I don't I don't care about pronunciation.
What was it? Aldrace?
Aldrace.
Aldrace. Okay, I pass it to Aldrace. Um, uh, show me how you stand before the darkness.
Oh, yes.
That is so good. Such a good question. And it is cruel. Just barely not a moral. Um so here I am standing standing uh I I'm not sure if I was ever in fear because of the fact that I know the darkness. This is very natural. So I snap out of it quickly, I and you want me to stand against the darkness, and I
Just
will. And I think Elena herself shows up, but in a distorted way, and and the shadows coalesce into her form, and I shout at Les to um this is not the Elena you've no you've words are failing me. I'm sorry. This is not the Elena you remember, and I just decapitate her. as
Yes.
he, as
Yes.
and as their head rolls down to Heron, I
Yes.
want him to show me how the how he so Heron, let me uh ask you a question before I pass the dice to you. Um, how do you deal with um the shadows, the whispering shadows that are now in the vicinity due to the darkness being here?
Okay. So let me roll.
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
Oh my god. Everyone is a thread.
Yeah, because I was trying to come up with one, but
But
the-
so good. This game is so good.
okay. So I think I have to do this jovial.
Jovial. What was the question
Yeah.
again?
How do you react to the shadows coalescing and manifesting? Since they are the whispering shadows in your head.
Okay. How exactly can I use my feats heroic?
You can use your feats heroic whenever you feel like it. Are you using a jovial, or do you want to use your glum feat heroic?
Yeah, because I could use the glum one to change the tone, right?
Yeah, that is fine. Yeah, you can do that. If you don't like the tone, you can use a feat heroic, change the tone.
Okay. So I'm using my feat heroic to because she asked how I'm dealing with this with the whispers of the shadows in the middle of this encroaching darkness. So I guess that I was trying not to listen to them until suddenly I realized that the shadows are the whispers are actually many voices, and they are while they are talking many different things, actually they are all talking the same thing. And what they are saying to me is that the only way to uh, be safe from the shadow, from the darkness, is to become one with the darkness. So uh, I'm Heron's not quite sure about that, about how to do that yet. So I think I'm ending this phase.
Nice.
And that is the last thread.
Awesome. The only way to be safe from the darkness is to become it. Okay, so now we move into what is called the end game. Before we get started on it, I would like to take a quick break, if that's okay with everybody.
I think I need a
Cool,
quick break.
but we're almost out of time also. We have 45 minutes.
45 minutes? Okay, no, that's fine. We could keep rolling through. Um, okay, so the end phase, what's great about it is it's just like the other three phases. Um, it'll be a perilous phase, a rogues phase, or a discovery phase. It might be multiple phases. But here's how we move along to finish the game. So during your narration, you can incorporate or reincorporate any of the threads that you see on the left. Now, but you have to reincorporate it in a way that's special. So let's say you wanted to reincorporate the first motif, you would need to actually take two of those items and remix it into something original, but yet calls back on those. So like, let's take the first two threads. I'll do just something general here. The smoke stands in judgment and a fleshy beast with an exposed rib cage. I could do a narration where smoke reveals or exposes something. Does that make sense?
And does it have to be in order or
No, it doesn't have to be in order. You can use any one of those motifs. But once you reincorporate, that motif's off the list.
okay?
Does that make sense?
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
you
yeah.
mix them, you mix
So
the
cool.
threads of a motif together to make something new. And once you do that, that motif comes off the board, and you can no longer receive the dice again in the game. Now, not only can you do that, you can also either reincorporate the threads from a motif, you can answer a mystery, or you can suffer a moral in showing how you've either learned from the moral or you haven't learned from the moral. And that's another way of reincorporating. Does that make sense?
So here's a question. So you don't. So basically, once you resolve one of those, three things or five things in this case, or six since we have two morals, you cannot have the die back.
Right. As soon as you reincorporate something from the left, from the threads list, you cannot receive the dice again. You can still talk, you can still narrate about what your character's doing or whatever, but you cannot receive the dice again.
And do we have an epilogue scene basically with that?
Right. So since we got 4 players, once 3 players incorporate or reincorporate, the last player will roll the dice for tone and say a short little epilogue in that tone.
Cool.
Okay? But we'll play the game just like normal, and then when you narrate your thing, and then you'll say, well, I reincorporated, threads 1 and 2 from the third motif, or threads, 2 and 3 from the second motif.
Sorry, are we rolling for tone as normal? in
Yes.
these scenes as well.
Yeah, we play the game just like normal.
Yep.
Except for you just want to reincorporate, and that brings it into the game.
Sure.
And that's the beauty of this game.
Yes.
So what phase can we go to now? The darkness is moving in. You know what? I think we need another perilous phase here. The darkness has engulfed everyone, and unfortunately, I'm still cruel. The darkness has engulfed the whole land, and some of the rogues were moving away from the darkness, whilst a couple decided to stand up to it. But the darkness doesn't play favorites, and the darkness coalesces into these voices, and these voices coalesce into actual physical figures of shadow. And the tendrils from these shadow figures wraps around the necks of each of you. And that is the thunder, is tendrils of shadow wrapping around your neck. And I'm going to pass the dice to... I gotta pass it to Aaron. Because he was the one that wanted to become one with the darkness. And so yeah, so Aaron, you can roll now, or you can wait. You can hold on to it.
Okay, I think I'm gonna roll. So
Oh, and another thing, if you reincorporate, you get to ignore like a moral or whatever. If you roll a stymie, a tie, you get to ignore it if you decide to reincorporate.
okay. Oh, I forgot how to roll. It's slash roll.
Mm-hmm.
That's
All right,
okay.
roll.
/R or /roll.
Mm-hmm. I think you had a period in front of that one.
Yeah, just to show basically.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Oh, that was
I-
Will.
I
Or,
got it.
yeah. So you're Glum.
Okay, and I had to incorporate.
You don't have to reincorporate. But if you do, it moves the game forward, and you cannot receive the dice anymore.
Oh, okay.
And a quick question for
Okay.
future reference: Do filling out the motifs and proceeds to the end phase immediately?
Yep.
Or
As
is
soon as the motifs fill up, as soon as that phase ended. Actually, you don't even have to end the phase. The phase can continue, but you move into the end game.
it right when it ends, or does it do immediately?
No, it's not when the phase ends. You just move immediately into the end game. The phase can continue.
Oh, and then the end game would be in the same phase. that
Yeah,
it was before.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we play just like normal. The only reason we switched phases is because Aaron ended that last phase.
Well,
Just as soon
yes.
as we filled in the last motif.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
So
So you said that there are actual physical manifestations of the shadows and the darkness around us.
Yeah, and physical as in tendrils are coming from their bodies of shadow, and they're wrapping these tendrils are wrapping around your necks.
Okay, so I'm going to reincorporate two threads from the second motif.
Okay. You go ahead and narrate first, and then you can say what you reincorporated.
Okay, great. So I'm trying to think how to become one with the darkness. I realized I always knew the answer, and I look at the others and I tell them, uh, mm, I talk to them in that voice, that strange voice that they have heard before, and I tell them that and they can understand me that life is a merciless path to death. Death is the only true essence of everything, and I bury the leech in my own throat,
Oh,
and from from the from the blood, the blood starts flowing, and with my hands I grab the wound and I open uh, my skin, ripping everything apart, and from the inside of me there's a shadow version of myself, and this shadow person uh, gestures for the others to follow me and walks into the darkness.
Oh my god. So I'm guessing that's the second motif.
Yeah.
All
Oh,
right.
that's so good.
That was
Oh my
beautiful.
God.
That was beautiful.
Yes. Who do you pass the dice to?
um, I think I'm going to pass the dice to Aldrich again.
Oh my god.
So,
Game is
Aldris, um, you saw what just happened to Aaron. Um, and it seems like the darkness has accepted him. And in its cruel joy, it seems like it's celebrating by squeezing tighter around your neck and pulling you towards the center of the mass of darkness, all while that cruel laughter is still going on.
Um.
You can roll or you can hold.
Continue.
yes.
Continue.
So as it tightens around your neck, it finally pulls you off your feet and it is dragging you on your back, and you look to the sky and you see the sky, and you can still see the stars, but as you slide closer and closer towards the darkness, it's almost like a blanket is pulled over you, almost like it is putting you in the darkness forever, like you'll never see the stars again, and it's pulling you deeper and deeper, and not only is it pulling you, it feels cold, and your skin starts to turn blue, beginning at your neck and moving up the sides of your face.
I am going to roll now. That is going to be cruel.
Nice.
So with a loud shout, I will I will start tearing off the the tentacles, uh, the tendrils of darkness, and I will call out the names of all who have wronged me, in the name and all who have wronged the world, because this is my bloody vengeance and it is the time for judgment. And I will take the dark tendrils and I will command them to go across the world and take vengeance. So that is crossing up the first motif, and of course I lose myself to the my own Karath. So I also become a shadowy figure like Heron.
Oh God, you guys. That is great. So you incorporated the first and third thread from the first motif, the judgment
Yeah.
and the unbound by cruelty, driven by vengeance. That's nice.
Yes.
So yeah, you can pass the dice. Has to be to Elaine or less,
All right,
because you and Aaron cannot receive the dice anymore.
Elaine.
Oh God. Okay.
Elaine.
Now I just want to confirm this. I'm pretty sure you cut my head off in the last thing. Is that correct?
No, I cut Elena's head off.
Elena, the sister
All right.
that was
Okay.
laughing.
The cruel sister.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure. I got
Right.
confused with the names there.
But she's not dead
Um,
because you can't kill somebody else's named.
Yeah. Um.
I mean, yeah, true.
Uh.
Oh no.
Okay. So what's going?
Okay.
What's my danger?
So I think right before the darkness overtook you, you and Les managed to get on the back of the beast, and it was in a full sprint towards the hills, trying to get away from this darkness. It was so frightened; you could feel it shivering, the beast shivering while it was running. It was so scared, and you had to hold on so tight. It was moving so fast to keep from falling off of it, and but as it sent those tendrils out, those tendrils grabbed all three of you by the neck, you, Les, and the beast, and it just snatched you backward violently, right off the back of the beast, right into the ground, and just started pulling you, almost like a fishing rod pulling in a fish, pulling all three of you towards the center. Um, you didn't really see what happened to the other two, but you know this is bad, and you feel that cold stinging uh, beginning in your neck, and it's moving up the side of your face, and you can actually feel it in your veins, the coldness. You can actually feel darkness becoming your blood.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to put some dice down on this, but that is amazing. Jovial. Moment for some joviality. Okay, jovial. So the beast has been determined to defend me now in seeing my weakness, and he starts tearing off the tendrils off himself, and makes his way towards Elaine. When he gets to me, the last king stands over me, and this big imposing figure, but he seems like just washed out by the darkness and minuscule in comparison. And he leans down over me, and I can feel his hot breath, and I know that that he's going to try to kill me now, so the darkness can't take me. It's his intent. But I also know from our experience that the only way to do that and to save me from the darkness is with cruelty. I look up at him, and there's just the tears welling up again, and I am frozen in place with this cold tendrils in my veins. And I say to the last king, I say, "Don't be sorry, just do it." And with the kind of cruelty that only like a broken soul, only a Karoth can have, he tears my body into shreds, and
God.
yeah, just takes me before the darkness can. That's my of the destroy darkness with cruelty, and the only way to be safe.
Nice.
Starts to die. And I'm going to pass it on to Les. Take it.
Okay. Oh well, there's no reason to pass it on to Les because we've reincorporated three
Awesome.
things. So now, Les, since you are the last one to not reincorporate, you can do a motif, or not a motif, but a epilogue. You can roll the dice and do a short little epilogue in that tone, however you see fit.
Can I use my feat heroic?
For the epilogue, Mm,
The one I want to do is Blades from Darkness, and well,
well, to tell you the truth, there's no rolling for the epilogue except for tone. But yeah, I mean, if you want to use your feet and kind of put that in the epilogue, but the epilogue's for everybody. It's not just for yourself. It's for this entire story. It's the epilogue.
but
And
is everyone else is destroyed at this point.
Right. So you're gonna epilogue the aftermath,
and
or even what we see at the end here.
so what's the tone that he has to use?
Well, if he wants to use his feet heroic, that's fine. I'll let him do it.
But
I'll-
otherwise,
I'll roll for it.
Otherwise, it'll be rolled for. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you don't like the
So-
tone, then you can use your feet heroic.
Glum, it's the same.
Okay. So there you go.
So Elena is just so everyone he knows has just died, except for his son. The epilogue. It sounds like the darkness is going to take over the entire world. With Aldrace at its head, almost like Aldrace has replaced Elena. I think that Les's part of this epilogue is that Les just continues to run for the rest of his life. Now before from his sister, and now from his friend. And it isn't a long life, but it is definitely not, and it is definitely not a happy existence. I'm not sure how to do the epilogue for the people that have already been destroyed.
Oh no, that's fine. I think it's perfect. Like the closing shot of this is Les running with the darkness approaching behind him, vaguely in the shapes of his former comrades.
except Elaine because she was eaten by the last king before that could
Right.
happen.
Right.
Oh my god, I am so sorry it turned out this way. But that was an amazing game. Oh my god, I fell in love with it.
But that is Swords Without Master, and I hope everybody enjoyed it. I enjoy it every time I play it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Pat.
Oh,
Yeah,
no,
this was
no problem.
Great.
Thank you all for being part of this. Thank you, Maria, for changing one of your tones to cruelty. Uh,
And then just derailing the entire game to cruelty. I'm like, oh my god.
um, that's just the way it happens. I didn't run this. I didn't run it perfectly. I made mistakes in there that I noticed I missed, but I think it ran pretty well.
I had
I
so
don't think
much
it's
fun.
a mistake if everyone is having fun, you know.
Right? Yeah,
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm glad everybody enjoyed it. This is everybody's first experience playing it. Is there anything that that you would change about the game? In essence,
So this is a one-shot game?
mainly it's a one-shot game. There are little hacks that some people use to play longer games, such as starting with only one named, and then after every session adding a named thing to your character sheet. So in essence, your character grows along with the other characters because they could have same name things, so they got more bonding going on.
Nice.
I am in love. I'm like, oh my god, this game is so amazing.
Yeah, I kind of feel like this is the game you've been asking about in Slack over and over and over again, Maria, but we never knew what the answer was. And I think it's this, right? It feels like it's this.
I don't remember the name of, or rather not
It-
the
it wasn't-
questions.
You were just asking for a game that would fulfill a fantasy itch for you that wasn't Tolkien based.
Oh my
And it's
god.
just
Oh.
like, I think this might be it. One thing that I want to say, I wouldn't change it, but that I love and I want to somehow incorporate it into PBTA is the way that the spotlight shifts during the perilous phase, where it is the player deciding what the next player is that is going to be
Yeah.
in danger. And I don't know how I can incorporate that, or if it can be incorporated. But
Maybe shifting GMs in terms of PBTA, like once the each time maybe if it's like when the GM says what do you do X, they narrate and then they become the GM for the next amount of time. But that's just me brainstorming like
yeah,
out of nothing, so I
Right.
could be completely off mark.
Well, the thing with the perilous phase is, you don't have to target the person with the dice. You can target the other players and hope that that person rolls the dice to save them.
oh, okay,
I personally find it more enjoyable to target the player with the dice, because it gives them more initiative to roll the dice.
Having the dice as a flag that you want to be in trouble or that you're expecting to be in trouble.
Yeah, and you can hold those dice to get into more trouble as,
And then you can manage to release the trouble when you want to roll. Yeah.
right. So basically, if the GM or the overplayer brings a peril to your character and you don't roll the dice, basically you're saying, well, this ain't dangerous. Um, you need to really bring it harder than that. I don't feel this is dangerous. So you want to get to that point where the players actually, oh, I have to roll the dice.
Yeah.
The dice in this game are the weight of the game, which is hence why I use a Roll20 setup to show the movement of the dice, because the dice itself are the main component of the flow of the game.
Yeah. I think being able to sort of not exactly physically, but not exactly I don't know, virtually move the dice from one person to the other was essential to the experience.
Right. Right.
Otherwise, this would have been a much more chaotic session. And
Yeah, you would just have to imagine passing the dice to other players if you were just playing
yeah,
over video.
yeah, and I think this sort of thing is very interesting. Like in Burning Wheel, when you help someone, you give them one of your die, of your dice, and this sort of physical stuff is, I don't know, it gives a more uh, palpable feeling. I don't know.
Mhm.
I like this stuff.
Right.
This kind of stuff.
The main thing that draws me in about this game, and it drew me in from the get go. This was my first game back to role playing after a long hiatus of not playing. I was in a state where I played D&D when I was younger and just quit playing role playing games for a long time. And I played this game once, and I realized there was hundreds of games out there that weren't D&D on the indie scene,
Yeah,
and this game to me it's still my fallback. And I think it was the whole motif thing that drew me in, to have something that ties the game from beginning to end, without the GM actually having to do that because the players do it for him.
Well, I mean, it's sort of what PBTA did, or what Apocalypse World did with MC moves, in that having motifs and reincorporation is something that we all aim to do in our games, but codifying it, rules makes it happen differently.
Right. And it's actually putting it in the player's hands. And I think Epi named it the overplayer instead of the GM for that reason. The overplayer is basically just another player that's playing the world.
Yeah. What I loved about this game more than anything else is as I'm sure you guys can tell, a super active listener in my RPGs. I love telling people when I think they did good, and the being able to start a thread for someone when they say something that interests you is amazing.
Right, and
It's
not
giving someone a cookie.
yeah, and not breaking the flow. Go ahead, Andre. You can say it.
I was thinking when you play this with in person, how do you do with the threads and stuff?
Use index cards. You have 3 index cards for each motif, and an index card for mysteries and an index card for morals. and all the
And
character sheets are index cards.
And how do you do Eidolons
doesn't
then?
Uh,
doesn't that take? Sorry.
no, go ahead. You can finish your question, Andre.
Sorry.
It's just the delay.
Okay, yeah. Doesn't that take too long? Too long in the middle of the session. I mean, you have to stop
Oh no, because
playing and
anybody
write.
but anybody can grab an index card from from the middle of the table and write a thread on it at any
Oh, okay.
point. You're not stopping play. You just grab the index card and you write it on there.
You're not requesting authority. You're just
Okay.
taking it.
Hmm.
And so, how do you do Eidolons in a physical game?
Well, in a physical game, there's actually. I'm sorry, was somebody else saying something?
No, or face to face. I meant.
In a face-to-face game, it's actually pretty easy. Some people use magic cards. You can use art cards. You can even use songs or drinks or even food. Um,
Oh, cool.
yeah, you can use food to say, this is the food that the people in my homeland eat, or something like that. You can use anything. You use a book. Anything could be your eidolon. It doesn't have to be a picture of your character. It's just the general convention that we use in the Swords Without Master community because it's easier, especially when teaching, to have something that more directly represents your character.
Awesome.
One option would be to have people take objects and the objects be the eidolons.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. If you
I like
if you want to play it, face to face and have your guests bring an object from their homeland or an object
Yeah.
of their martial style would
Oh,
be a
that's
pretty
so
cool way to start a
good.
game.
I like how the only prep that is required and the only prep that you should do is just bring an eidolon of your own.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty much this game can be played with nothing. You could play it without the feats heroic, you could play it without the tricks, you could play it without the name stuff. All you need is a character and you play the game like normal. You don't need the feats heroic or the tricks or anything like that. It's a very simple game to set up. Playing it, knowing the different things that happen in different phases is a little tricky sometimes, but the more you play it, the more you get used to it.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I know Epi runs Sunday games or something like that.
That is correct.
My God.
Every Sunday morning, Epi usually runs a game. It's depending on how busy he is, but the community there usually runs a game on Sunday morning,
I'm
and
going to sign up for that community right now.
yeah, and then I think actually somebody's running it this Sunday morning in Gauntlet Con. Somebody's running another Swords Without Master game.
Oh my God. Yes. Ah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm glad everybody enjoyed it. Yeah, you hear this game's name passed around so much online, but you come around so many people that have never played it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very, very hard to find, and when you do find it, it's impossible to understand.
Right. The rules are very hard to understand in writing. Very hard to understand.
Yeah, but it's beautiful. It's such a great game. I can't wait to introduce all my other friends to it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm glad I introduced it to some new fans. But yeah, definitely check out the Gauntlet, or not the Gauntlet, but the Swords Without Master community on G Plus. And if you want to set up games there, yeah, just feel free. People there are helpful, and it's not the most active community, but there's usually somebody that'll respond to you.
Thank you so much for running, and I am so glad I joined last minute because this is. Oh my God.
And thanks to everyone. 'cause
Yeah, thanks to
it's a game
everybody
that
for putting
really
it.
would design.
Thanks everyone. Yeah, this was great. You people were great, and thanks a lot for having me. And that's it.
Yep, and everybody have a good night and enjoy the rest of Gauntlet Con.
Yeah.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone.
Thank
And
you.
Thanks,
said-
Matt.
Bye.
And you
Thank
said
you,
this
Will.
was recorded?
Yeah, it's recorded. I'll get it up on YouTube probably later on tonight, if not in the morning.
All right, cool.
Awesome.
No rush.
Later.
Thank you.
Thanks, mate.